Your car was engineered with a very specific internal logic. Every component has a job, a load limit, and a breaking point. And right now, without even realizing it, you're probably violating that logic on at least 4 or 5 different levels every single day. We found 13 habits that drivers pick up purely out of convenience, and we matched each one to exactly what it's destroying inside your car. Some of these are going to feel so minor that you'll want to argue with us. Don't. The repair bills are real, and they add up faster than you'd think. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1, resting your hand on the gear shifter. If you drive a manual, do you rest your hand on the gear shifter during a long drive? It feels natural, almost like the car is designed for it. It's not. The gear shifter connects directly to a selector fork inside the transmission. That fork is only supposed to move when you're actually shifting. But when your hand sits on the lever, even lightly, it pushes that fork against the spinning collar below it the entire time you're driving. The fix costs nothing. Rest your hand on your thigh instead. Ignore it, and you're looking at $400 to $800 in transmission repairs. The gear lever is a control input, not an armrest. Number 2, ignoring the parking brake on hills. Most drivers skip the parking brake on hills because they forget, or they figure the transmission is holding the car fine. And for a while, it does. That's what makes this one sneaky. Without the parking brake engaged, the entire weight of the car rests on a tiny metal pin inside the transmission called the parking pawl. Picture a metal tab the size of your thumb holding back 4,000 pounds on a slope. Did you know that pawl was never designed to be a primary load-bearing device? It's a last resort failsafe. The correct order is parking brake first, then shift to park. So the pawl drops in with almost zero load on it. Most drivers do it backwards, and replacing a damaged pawl can run $200 to $500, sometimes requiring a full transmission teardown to even access it. Number 3, accelerating hard with a cold engine. You're running late, the car starts, and you floor it out of the driveway. The engine sounds fine. Here's the kicker. What you can't hear is what's happening inside. Cold oil is thick and slow. It hasn't fully circulated yet, so the pistons, cylinder walls, and bearings are all moving against each other with almost no protective film between them. Flooring it in that window is like asking someone to sprint the second they roll out of bed. Engine wear studies show a disproportionate amount of total engine wear happens in the first 60 to 90 seconds after a cold start. Just drive gently for the first 2 minutes. Light throttle, moderate RPMs, skipping that eventually means cylinder wall wear, oil consumption, loss of compression, and an engine rebuild starting around $3,000. Number 4, riding the brakes downhill. Long downhill stretch. You keep a steady foot on the brake to control your speed. Feels responsible. Except the brakes don't see it that way. Brakes convert kinetic energy into heat. Ride them continuously downhill, and that heat builds up without the cool-down periods normal driving provides. You won't believe how fast it gets bad. On a steep descent, some brake systems hit fade-inducing temperatures in under 2 minutes. Truckers use engine braking on mountain grades for exactly this reason. When rotors get hot enough, the metal expands unevenly, which causes that pulsing vibration through the pedal. Drop to a lower gear instead, and use the brakes in short, firm bursts. Warped rotors run $150 to $300 per axle before labor. Number 5, letting the fuel tank run. Near empty, the low fuel light comes on and you think, I'll fill it up tomorrow. Most drivers have done this, but there's something happening inside that tank you've probably never been told about. Here's the kicker. The fuel pump sits inside the tank and uses the gasoline around it as a coolant. Run it low regularly, and that pump is running hot every single time in a low lubrication environment, degrading faster than it should. And there's a second problem. Sediment and debris settle at the bottom of the tank, so when you're scraping the bottom, the pump is pulling that junk straight through it. Keep the tank above a quarter full and none of this happens. Number 6, hitting potholes and speed bumps. Too fast. You see the pothole, You don't have time to swerve and you hit it. Jarring thud, then it's over. Feels like nothing. But your suspension just took a force spike it was never meant to handle at that speed. Ball joints and tie rod ends are the most vulnerable. They're precision joints, and a single hard impact can introduce just a little looseness that wasn't there before. You won't notice it immediately. But that play grows, and eventually your steering feels vague and your tires are wearing unevenly. A single hard hit can knock your alignment out of spec and chew through tires in 10,000 miles instead of 40,000. Impact force scales with speed squared, so speed bumps taken at 25 miles per hour instead of 10 aren't just a little harder on your struts. They're exponentially harder. Strut replacement runs $300 to $700 per axle. Number 7. Turning the steer wheel while the car is stopped. Parallel parking, car is stopped, and you crank the wheel hard to get the angle right. Feels completely harmless. It's not. This is called dry steering, and it scrubs the tire tread against the pavement while the full weight of the car is pressing down on it. Instead of gradual even wear, you get flat, uneven spots ground into the shoulder of the tire. On hydraulic power steering systems, you're also running the pump at maximum pressure with zero relief, stressing the rack and tie rod ends simultaneously. Rolling even 1 foot before turning takes all of that load off. A rack and pinion replacement runs $600 to $1,200, and dry steering gets you there faster. Number 8. Overloading the trunk with excess weight. Gym bag, toolbox, bag of sand from last winter. It just lives in the trunk. The car drives fine, so what's the problem? The rear shocks and springs are calibrated for a specific load range. Run them compressed beyond that continuously, and they lose their damping ability faster. That bouncy, wallowing rear end over bumps is them telling you they're worn out ahead of schedule. Did you know every extra 100 pounds cuts fuel economy by 1 to 2%? That compounds with extra brake wear from stopping additional mass at every single red light. ABS and stability control are also calibrated around expected vehicle mass, so permanently shifting that throws off systems you're counting on when it actually matters. Number 9. Ignoring small warning lights on the dashboard. Check engine light comes on. Car still drives fine, so you figure it's probably just a sensor glitch and you'll deal with it eventually. That logic almost never works out. Here's a real scenario mechanics see constantly. A small oxygen sensor fault triggers the light. Driver ignores it for 3 months. The faulty sensor causes the ECU to run too much fuel, which fouls the catalytic converter. A $150 fix just became a $1,200 repair. Did you know a low oil pressure warning can destroy an engine in minutes if you keep driving? A basic OBD2 scanner costs $25 and reads the fault code instantly. You just need to actually plug it in. Number 10. Shifting from reverse to drive before fully stopping. Backing out of a spot, still rolling backward, and you shift to drive to save 2 seconds. Feels like nothing. Inside the transmission, it's not nothing. You're asking the transmission to stop the car's rearward momentum and reverse it, using the transmission bands and clutch packs instead of the brakes. Those components handle smooth gear engagement, not sudden direction reversals under load. The transmission doesn't start slipping the first time you do it. It happens gradually over hundreds of instances. You won't believe how many transmission failures mechanics trace back to exactly this habit. Rebuilds run $1,500 to $4,000. Come to a full stop first. The brakes handle stopping, the transmission handles shifting. Number 11. Driving with underinflated tires. Tires lose about 1 psi per month naturally, and more in cold weather. If you haven't checked yours in 6 months, they're probably low right now. Here's the kicker. A tire running 8 psi low flexes the sidewall more than it's designed to on every single rotation. That flexing builds up internal structural damage you can't see from the outside. The tire looks fine until it blows out at highway speed, and that's one of the leading causes of blowout accidents. The recommended PSI is on a sticker inside your driver's door jamb, not the sidewall. A gauge costs $5. 3 minutes, 0 cost, and your tires actually last as long as they're supposed to. Number 12. Holding the brake at red lights. Long red light, foot on the brake, waiting it out. Totally normal. But that steady pedal pressure keeps the brake pads pressed against the rotor the whole time, and if those rotors are hot from recent stopping, pad material transfers unevenly onto the surface. That's brake judder, that pulsing vibration through the pedal you've probably felt before. Stick around, because this fix is genuinely the simplest one on the list. At a long light, just shift to neutral and release the brake pedal. Rotors cool evenly, and your brake booster, the vacuum-assisted device that multiplies your pedal force, gets a brake instead of holding continuous load. Brake boosters run $200 to $400 to replace. Number 13. Skipping the cold weather warm-up. Modern cars don't need a 10-minute warm-up. That part is true. But 60 seconds actually matters, and most drivers skip even that. Below freezing, oil thickens up and moves slowly. The top of the engine, camshaft journals, valve train, is the last place it reaches, so those surfaces run with almost no oil film for the first 30 to 60 seconds. Drive gently in that window and it's fine. Pull straight onto a highway ramp and it's not. Some estimates put 70% of total engine wear at cold starts. For turbocharged engines, it's even more critical. Turbo bearings need full oil pressure immediately, and replacements start at $1,000. Every single one of these 13 habits does the same thing. It asks a component to handle something it wasn't built for. Not dramatically, just consistently, day after day, until it becomes a repair bill.